Thanks for tuning in to another Philmcast here, our podcast that we do based on some of the movies that have been out recently, film reviews, upcoming releases, as well as some DVD releases. We're joined by the usual cast of Mark McLean and Rob Mayers. Big Philmcast for us here today, as we're going to do a lot of reviewing of The Dark Knight, Rises, which came out about a month ago now. And we all have seen it, some of us a couple of times, so just fair warning, there probably will be some spoiler alerts in here, but whatever, we want to talk about it anyway. And then we'll also get to some other movies we saw and some upcoming movies here in the next couple weeks. But let's just start off with The Dark Knight Rises, and go ahead and give us your initial thoughts.
I think the last 10 minutes of the previous podcast, we talked about our expectations going into it. And I listened to that podcast about a few days ago, and it seemed like we were leaving that podcast with almost a negative attitude towards how much we were anticipating the movie and wondering if The Dark Knight Rises could even come close to our expectations because it was so heavily hyped. And after seeing it, not only did it meet my expectations, I think it possibly exceeded them. I thought this movie was absolutely incredible. Everything you wanted the Batman movie to be, everything you wanted this whole series to be, it ended on such a great note. And there's at no point did I have a lot of things about it that I hated. There was things I didn't like, but overall, this movie is easily the best movie I've seen all summer, and might rival as one of the top Batman movies I've ever seen.
I'm just going to throw it out there that I think most of the negative connotation towards the end of the last podcast was driven by Phil.
What? I didn't have any negative connotations.
I think you were worried about it being overhyped and that you thought it would underwhelm everybody.
No, I think...
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, I did have there wasn't really a negative connotation.
It was more honest.
I didn't say it was going to be bad. I just said that I think that there was a possibility it was going to let down of expectations. I think a lot of people do feel that way still.
And weren't you...
Not me, but...
Weren't you anticipating the Avengers being better than it?
I did say, even in the last podcast, I did say that pretty much all winter, spring, and for the most part of the summer, I did feel that way until, like, the month leading up to...
Yeah, Phil actually clarified it last week.
I did say, I completely stand by that. I did say that. I thought the Avengers would be better simply for the fact that there was less hype around it, and the Dark Knight Rises expectations were just too high. But I did say then I changed my mind just because leading up to it, it was like, okay, the more trailers that came out and the more you started to... Like, when we did our Dark Knight Rises week, the week leading up to it, that was like the point where I was like really made the full turn, and I was like, no, this movie's going to be awesome. And I thought it was. I thought it was better than The Dark Knight, personally. But we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But we've been really looking forward to this for, I think, ever since The Dark Knight ended. Just to see how Nolan brought such a fresh energy to the entire character and really took it in a different route. And a lot of people are saying maybe took it in a direction that no one thought possible with Batman. And got fans on board, but at the same time have gotten regular people on board, regular people who go to the movies just to go to the movies. And
that was a big point, and we've been listening to these podcasts by Kevin Smith, who was discussing the Dark Knight Rises, and he made that point too, because he said up until Chris Nolan took over the series, Batman was always your a big time comic book fan. It never really got that the mass public appeal, but then once Nolan took it over, it became a film series not only for geeks and comic book fans, but for everybody. Like, girls were seeing it, adults, parents were seeing it, and it was just for the masses that the series, and really any comic book series up until that point, hasn't really attained.
Batman always had financial success at the box office. I mean, even with the Tim Burton one. Tim Burton was huge. And then I think a lot of people were amazed that this one has now, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind when people look at the Batman series now, the defining films will be Christopher Nolan's movies.
You think so?
I think I think easily 10 years from now, no one will. I don't think he's going to even look at the 1989 one. Not even the original 1989 one. I think that one will eventually just be almost looked at in not with the same amount of almost like just sarcastic, whatever, as people look at the Adam West stuff, but I think people will almost look at the 1989 movie as like almost like a joke.
I don't know, man. Those movies have a really big, I'm not going to say cult following, but a lot of people like swear by the Tim Burton Batman movies, and I really do. I love both of them.
I do too. I grew up, those are our movies just as much as, we grew up with those movies, but.
And they don't come anywhere near these movies. No. They're fucking great, but they're not even close to what Nolan did with the series, which is...
Yeah, but that's really also just a change. I think that's also a huge change in just the way the film's made now.
You think so? It's more about...
I think it's more about that. Like, if Tim Burton was going to do a Batman movie again, he would do it completely different now. Even before Christopher Nolan, I'm saying. Just because he's different, and he's a lot older now, and the technology's so much different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's the reasons. I still think this movie's better anyway. But I'm just saying that, you got to look at it. That was 1989.
Yeah. And Batman Returns was 91, right?
Yeah, around 92, I think. So many great... Batman really is one of the few characters... There's obviously the shitty movies we saw from Schumacher, but for the most part, Batman is one of the most well-respected characters, and really people, when they make a Batman movie or a Batman cartoon and take it kind of from the comic book world and make it into a different medium, they really do respect the character. So there's so many great Batman adaptations, but I do think this will be the defining series outside of the comic books that people look to when they want to define the character of Batman, which is, I think it's a testament to how great Christopher Nolan is at making movies and just how clear of a vision he had throughout the entire process from the first movie to the third movie.
Do you think that it's the end of... He set the bar too high?
I think so. Where do you go from here?
They'll never make him again because...
What director will have the balls to even...
That's what I mean. I think they're done now. I think you look at the Spider-Man movie that just came out, and it was like, well, obviously they could do better.
Well, Spider-Man 3 came out. I think that really set up we got to do right by the entire Spider-Man.
But this might have just not killed it, but like,
I think it definitely put it on hiatus for a while.
For a long time,
anyone's going to touch Batman for a while. But then again,
but in 15 years, it might be completely.
It's a profit. If you look at it just from a business standpoint, it's going to make money every time it's out.
Even if it's a bad movie, they're still going to bank like millions of dollars.
Yeah, like Superman.
Yeah. But let's get into the specifics on the movie. We're talking about how much of an impact it had and how great it was. We really haven't talked about the story or the characters in it. You look at I looked at how long the movie was going to be at 2 hours and 45 minutes and wonder how they're going to work that whole story into 2 hours and 45 minutes. It almost seemed like that wasn't enough time with how many things you saw from the trailers that were going on.
That's exactly how I felt. You felt like certain aspects of the story were much more rushed than we wanted them to be. Especially, I felt with the Selena Kyle character. She could have been a lot more in depth and a lot cooler. I thought they did a good job with her. And then also Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. I forget, Blake?
Yeah, Jonathan Blake.
Who I've never been happy with as an actor. Like, you all know that I kind of don't like him, but I thought he was great in this. For what he did and the way he kind of, he really directed the entire story.
Yeah.
And you followed him through from start to finish. And I just thought he was great. And also, they kept the final scene was so not what you expected it to be, with him actually being Robin at the end. Like, the way they were able to make that work and also keep you surprised at the same time and wonder how they were going to finish his story at the end of the movie was just fucking another great thing about this movie.
Yeah, speaking of how it ended, did you guys wait until after the credits or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I stayed the whole thing and there was nothing.
There was conflicting things on the internet about post-credit scenes or whatever.
They did say something on
There's conflicting stuff.
Yeah, I also looked it up on my phone while the credits were rolling, and there was like something about Superman. Like they were hinting it was like a fake. It was like a fake.
Just some asshole.
Fake spoiler for a post-credit scene saying that like there was going to be a Superman thing and it was going to be Batman and Superman like the next movie.
Like a Justice League setup.
Yeah, and there was nothing though. It was like a waste of time. I was like fucking pissed.
That person.
But no, why did you bring it up though?
No, because after the really cool ending with Robin, I guess, being revealed, I don't know if I was hoping for something, but I guess they can't really do that because Nolan said he's done with the series. So
yeah. Well, he's gonna.
That's
I think
Marvel's
he's gonna
thing
completely.
Too, stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they want to rip them off. I think he's gonna completely concentrate on Superman now because he brought. He's not directing it, but he's producing it. But I think he wants to just bring some credibility back to that.
Yeah, which
the last one wasn't that bad, but it really wasn't that great.
It gets
either.
a lot of flack. I don't think
it's kind of cheesy.
I don't think it's nearly as bad as people like to think. Like I think it for what it was, I think it was fine.
This one already looks like it's going to be way better.
No, oh yeah, definitely. It's a fresh start, but the
ending was cool. Batman. I thought. I mean, you knew something was coming just because of all the hints and the guesses leading up to it, and people, revealing things and saying like, "Oh, this is probably what's going to happen." So I had the whole time I'm like, "All right, something's coming up," and you knew the whole time something was going to be there, but I did not expect it to actually be Robin. That was really cool.
No,
I mean, we were talking leading up to it, and also just a lot of the buzz on the internet was that he was going to take over the Batman role. They thought he was going to be the new Batman in the next series. No, there was really not many rumblings about him becoming Robin.
No.
Just because I think that character has gotten such a shitty reputation in the movies.
And Nolan's shied away from really ever mentioning Robin. So it was like something that I thought was never going to be brought up. In
in the comic book, he's not named Jonathan Blake either. He's named something else, right?
Dick Grayson, there's Jason Todd, and Tim Drake. But which
is probably why nobody put it together that they probably thought he would stick to the.
I do remember going into the Dark Knight Rises, and this was going off of the last podcast too, thinking of what was going to make me satisfied with the movie. And I remember saying I didn't want it to be Batman getting his ass kicked for 2.5 hours, only to turn it around in the last 15 minutes. I thought I would be really pissed with that, how it played out. That's essentially how it played out. I mean, Batman really came off as again, the dumber, weaker character.
He doesn't get his ass kicked against everybody, though. It's only against Batman.
But he's outsmarted again in this one. He gets physically dominated, mentally he gets broken down. And I thought, I said that obviously last week or last month that I would have a problem with that. But the way they did it and the way the acting and the story itself made you not even realize that. Like, I left the movie going, that was fucking great. And the ending itself was such a happy ending. It ended on such a positive note for the Bruce Wayne character more than Batman that you really didn't even care if Batman really got his ass kicked for most of the movie. And it was just a perfect way to end it. And also, Batman, the only thing you really need in a Batman movie is for Batman to save the day at the end, I've realized. You don't really need him to kick ass or kick shit. You just need him to save the day at the end. And that's what he did. It was fucking perfectly done.
And just the way the story was lined up, you knew it was coming, that he was going to get his ass kicked for a while, how he was coming out of his hibernation, how he was injured, and then once he got injured again, you knew it was going to be a lengthy road back. It wasn't just going to be, he's going to swoop in and kick ass right away. Which was, I think that was just a story in of itself.
And what was the other thing we actually talked about last podcast? Keep on bringing it back, but we said a few things last podcast that really struck a chord with me because we were so off on so many things. One of them was also saying that as much as we love the idea of or respect, who the fuck played Bane? I'm drawing
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. As much as we respect Tom Hardy and think Bane was going to be cool, there was no way he could ever come close to Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Which now, looking at it now, he's very close.
I think he was better.
And Phil actually said he's
for different reasons.
But Phil has said to me personally that he liked him maybe more than Joker.
For different reasons than the Joker, but I do like. I thought he was a better villain than the Joker was.
Because he had more.
I don't think the performance was better, or I don't think he was a better character than the Joker. But I think he was a better villain. He actually scared me.
Yeah.
He actually gave me fear. I was like, no way. This guy, there's no chance that Batman's going to beat this guy. The Joker, you're always like, yeah, he's a menace. But come on. Look at him. It's the Joker. This guy, you're like, no, this guy's going to do it. He's going to destroy the world. Because he's that menacing and he's fucking brutal.
really made you.
And I loved it.
Oh, I love the way it made me feel. Because I'm watching that scene of him. First of all, how effective that scene was, where he beat the shit out of Batman.
Oh yeah.
And then, secondly, when they finally meet again, I'm watching Batman walk up to Bane, Bane walk up to Batman, and I'm like, Batman, fucking kick his ass, man. I want this guy to suffer for what he did to you. And it made me have that feeling. I had to step back and go, wait, this is a fucking movie. But it got you so involved and so invested in that hatred of Bane because he's such a physical force.
Yeah.
And also, he's just as intimidating as what Joker could do to you.
Yeah, I mean, there was an unpredictability thing with Bane. I mean,
that's actually one of my biggest disappointments that it's over. Is just because I want to see
Nolan's take on other villains.
I just want to see him do the more classic guys.
Yeah. I would love to see Nolan's take on a Penguin or a Riddler. Like
that would be so cool.
Yeah,
the Scarecrow was like.
Scarecrow was a weird choice, I thought.
It was just whatever.
No, he was fine because you couldn't have anyone that could outdo Ra's al Ghul in that one. Ra's al Ghul had to be the guy at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was a good point. I mean, it takes balls to start the series off with two villains that, for the most part, non-nerds aren't really familiar with.
Right.
So going into that movie, if you don't know Batman really well, you don't know who Ra's al Ghul, you don't know who Scarecrow is.
But you look at it's a perfect choice because that movie is Batman's movie. It's the only one out of the three that's Batman's movie. That's focus on the Batman character more than anything else. It's not even a Bruce Wayne movie. It's more just Batman. And then I would think The Dark Knight would be Joker's movie. And this one, I think the third movie, I was thinking about it, and I think it's Gotham's movie. I think this is
I think it's Bruce Wayne's movie more than anything.
Might even be Bruce Wayne. That's another thing you could talk about. It could possibly be more Bruce Wayne's movie, too.
And
Alfred.
Well,
Alfred's scene with Bruce.
Both of them. All of them.
All of them, but that really, the one that continues to make me this was just the dialogue, just respecting Michael Caine and Christian Bale as actors, is that scene where Alfred says, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm done after this. And then the confession of about burning the letter with Rachel, and just that delivery by Michael Caine and Christian Bale's reaction to the whole story is fucking great. That whole scene is awesome.
Michael Caine is a fucking awesome actor, and it really came out in a few parts.
Oh man,
that might be one of my favorite scenes of the entire series. Was that?
I love Michael
back
Caine
and forth with Michael. That back and forth with Caine and Bale in that scene is just so great.
Oh, I think I banged it. No, he's pretty great. There's not a bad performance in this movie, really. There's not one person that you were just like, ooh. I liked them all. I mean, I don't think there was one person that I thought was bad.
No.
For acting-wise, I guess, or for performance-wise, believability.
I thought Anne Hathaway's take on Catwoman was really
pretty
cool
good.
Too. Really cool. And the scene that I thought was really cool was in the restaurant scene. I think I don't know if Kevin Smith talked about this because it's all blurring together now. But when she was she went in there and just started acting like the victim when the cops came in.
Yeah.
Right as the cops walked past, she just
screaming.
And her fucking black dress.
Yeah, man.
Holy shit.
He did a good job with that role.
No, her. I mean, she was a great pick from the start. I mean, it seemed like when they picked her. I don't know about you guys, but if you can remember that, but when they picked her, I was like, yeah, that works.
Yeah,
she'll be sexy in it.
Yeah,
but just her take on the character and she played it. She didn't. I think why we like it so much is I don't see her injecting Anne Hathaway into the Catwoman. I think she played Catwoman the way Catwoman's supposed to be played.
Yeah, and that's where she has Batman Returns Catwoman beat, was because it was so much more realistic, and there wasn't that whole weird
cat scene,
psychological thing where the cats brought her back to life in the alleyway.
It's by nibbling on her,
like Halle Berry.
No, Michelle Pfeiffer.
No,
Halle Berry. Oh, I forgot about.
Nobody's even mentioning that Halle Berry.
Oh my god, I forgot about that movie.
Nobody's mentioned that whatsoever. It's like that movie didn't even exist.
I was like, Halle Berry, Phil. What the fuck are you talking about?
Did you guys see Catwoman?
No.
Bill?
With Halle Berry? No. I've seen parts of it.
I haven't seen any of it.
That might be the last really, really just utterly shit movie that Hollywood threw us with a comic book character.
That was DC. That was another DC one.
Like, utter shit. Like, to the point where you're like, why are they even making this? Like,
dude, they just did Ghost Rider 2 recently.
Yeah, but I actually heard good things of it. I didn't see it, but I heard good things.
It's probably better than Catwoman. But anyway, no, I thought Anne Hathaway was pretty cool. Who's her sidekick? Who is that girl?
She's from the movies. Not movies, from the comic book. I don't know if she has a name or anything.
The actress she's from something like pretty big. I feel like.
Who are you talking about?
The girl, her little. It's not like her. It's kind of like comes off as like her sister, her little sister,
or lesbian lover. Comes off as. At first, you're like, are they fucking each other?
No, it doesn't.
It does at one point when they're hugging each other, and she goes, "This is what we wanted, right? This is what we wanted."
She's a little blonde girl. She gets in trouble for Bruce Wayne. Like pretends like he caught her stealing something.
No, that wasn't Bruce Wayne.
Or it wasn't Bruce Wayne. Who was it then?
It's just some random guy.
Yeah.
She steals his wallet.
She's a little blonde. She's just like a pickpocket.
She comes in with Bruce Wayne's thumbprint in the bar.
Dude, I'm blanking on this character.
Oh, boy. I guess you got to see it 3 times.
Yeah.
I only saw it once, I remember. But I don't know. I just remember her face because I know she's from something else. Like, she's in other movies.
How many times have you guys seen it?
I've only seen it once, but I fucking passed. Yeah, who is that?
Is that her?
Yeah.
Oh, she's in something. She's in something obvious.
I passed on seeing it again for fucking Ted.
Which we'll talk about.
Instead. She's a waste.
I've not seen her in anything that I know. She was
Doesn't
in
matter.
Year One.
Year One, that's what it is. She plays like the...
Oh, yeah, the hot girl.
She plays the hot girl that's Michael Cera's interest.
Like painted in gold, that girl?
No, Michael Cera is painted in gold.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm starting to remember her now. All right, I don't remember her role.
Whatever. She's in it. But she doesn't have a big role, I'm just saying.
But yeah, we talk... I mean, I think now we can bring up where this movie, with how great it was from start to finish, and how it ended the series. I think you have to keep in mind the weight that this thing held, and the pressure it had on it, and the hype. How does it compare to Batman Begins? How does it compare to The Dark Knight?
Well, I'll go first, because I feel like I'm one of the few so far that I like it better than The Dark Knight overall. Just because I thought the story was cooler. And I mentioned this to you guys. I don't know, you guys didn't necessarily agree with me, which is fine. But I thought the whole thing of The Dark Knight is that, for me, was that, like, it's just the Joker just being the Joker. It's just him being a menace. There's no point. Like, there's no, like, he's not doing it for any sole purpose.
But that's the point.
I know, but that's what I didn't like about it. Like, this one, Bane has a objective
that you don't even know about.
That you don't know about to the end, but you kind of do. I mean, he lays a little bit of it out. He's not just like the Joker was just doing stuff to be a terrorist and like to get money. In the beginning, it's all about getting the money, and then at the end, it's just about being a terrorist and
that's usually how bad guys are.
Just being maniacal. I know that's why I like this one better, is because he actually had like a purpose, which was to fulfill the. What are they called? What's the society called? The
League of Shadows.
The League of Shadows' destiny, which is to bring society and civilization back to zero, which I thought was really cool. And I like that whole. I just like that part about it, and I like, as I already mentioned, I like Bane a little bit better, and I just thought it was a better story overall. I think the fighting scenes, though, or not the fighting, the action scenes in The Dark Knight were better, though. There's better, like, movie action scenes, like explosions and all that kind of stuff. Like the hospital scene, the tractor trailer.
I think you can, and also the
car chases.
The Batman scenes are better.
Yeah. This one, there's not a whole lot of action. It's more...
Not a whole lot of Batman. Let's address that, too, because there's about 30 minutes of Batman, which, again, you don't really... care as much because of how great the story was, and also we already talked about it's not really his story.
No, but I do like the whole story better in this one, which is why I like it better. I definitely like this one. I like both better than Batman Begins.
I think I like The Dark Knight more just because you see more Batman.
I don't need to see.
Dude, I kind of.
I'm not one of those weirdos. It's like I got to see Batman in every scene for it to be a Batman movie.
I didn't say that.
You didn't see Batman for like the first 35
half hour. Yeah,
didn't even like cross my mind. It never even crossed my mind. Like,
I mean, I know that was noticeable.
It doesn't bother me.
It bothered me, but
very little it bothered me.
Yeah, it didn't bother me enough to hate the movie or dislike the movie. But I'll say that's why I like maybe The Dark Knight more. But I will say this: looking at a complete movie and when you look at those two movies, Dark Knight Rises is a more complete story. Like it is the ending is better. I think it wraps up things obviously better than The Dark Knight was because Dark Knight has this important moment where it can't really wrap anything up. Right. But when you look at The Dark Knight Rises, I think it's a more complete story where there's more struggle for the character and there's more resolve. Where The Dark Knight, it's all struggling pretty much, and there is there's no moment where you can resolve that whole thing.
That's really just like we were saying, the position of the movies, though.
Yeah,
because
which is why I can't really fault The Dark Knight for it, and why I have to put Dark Knight over Dark Knight Rises. But Dark Knight Rises is really fucking close. More close than I thought. When I walked out of the theater when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's still Dark Knight, obviously. And then the more I thought about Dark Knight Rises and the two times I've seen it since, I'm like, this is getting pretty close to The Dark Knight. Like,
it's going to be awesome to watch them.
All three of them?
Just 3 in a row.
Oh, just take a day.
Like, without...
Fucking sick day from work.
Fucking go to Walmart, buying that Blu-ray at midnight.
And then calling into work the following morning.
Just staying up the whole night. Sleep all day. Go at midnight at Walmart, buy it, and just watch all 3 in a row. That's going to be awesome.
That would have to be 2 days of work off then. Sleep all day Monday. Go to
Walmart. I'd do it like Saturday and Sunday. Oh, yeah, because they come out Tuesday. Yeah, that's right.
I guess I could just wait.
It'd be a great batathon. What about you, Rob?
Well, I'm going to ask you, Mark. Are you going to stand by your YouTube comments?
What's my YouTube comments? My rankings?
Yeah. Because I believe
yeah, that was kind of
tied with Dark Knight.
I'll say Batman Begins. If I'm going to rank them, I think Dark Knight is 10 out of 10. Dark Knight Rises is 9.5, and Batman Begins is 9. The reason I said I had that nerdy comment where I took back my stance on Batman Begins is because I really thought about that after the guy said it, and I can't think of one real thing wrong or one thing I hate about Batman Begins. The only thing I'll say is you're not completely invested in the story like you are with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. It doesn't fully engage you. The whole time you're watching it, you're like, this is a great Batman movie, but I don't really, I don't feel anything more for it. But Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, you're emotionally invested from start to finish.
Right.
So that's why I'll say Batman Begins is a great movie, but I'll put it 9 out of 10 just because it doesn't wrap you in the same way The Dark Knights do.
And random tangent too. Does it bother you guys that Katie Holmes didn't stay on the movie?
Really bothers me now when I watch The Dark Knight. Like when I watch Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight. It really bothers me because the whole thing throughout the entire series is continuity with characters and kind of. Yeah. And this is where when you have some of the characters which are involved in all 3 of them, you're like, all of them are there, and it's great because it's the whole trilogy is.
Speaking of which, it's not a big deal at all.
It makes me hate Tom Cruise more.
It just bothers me that they don't. It just, for some reason, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I try to understand it. The fact they don't mention the Joker one time
doesn't bother me at all.
It just doesn't make sense. No, it just doesn't make any sense.
I think it was such a smart move to not do it. I think that was such a.
It could have been subtle. It could have not taken away from anything. It could have been so subtle, and everybody would have been like, "Oh,
dude, man, no, you know why? Because I already said this. Joker is such a huge character, such a huge presence in the second one, and as well as the series in general. That performance was so great that you're still talking about it to this day. That even mentioning him takes away from the power of Bane and takes away from the power that this whole third movie had. I think it would. I think admitting Joker, or even showing Joker, admits this is a less than powerful movie as The Dark Knight.
What about Scarecrow? They showed.
He's not as big. He's not that big of a deal, and he was in the second one already too.
Every other villain was in the movie in the series history.
But Harvey Dent had more of an important role in this story too, so that's why he had to include him. Ra's al Ghul had something to do with this story.
Yeah, but they could have easily just shown a flashback of him fighting the Joker or something like that.
Yeah, but what would it have done? I think there's no way that would have worked in the current... If you look at the story that it was, there's no way that working in the Joker was either necessary or would have worked.
Yeah.
I was just hoping for, what my hopes were are contingent on him actually, like, still being alive, was just, like, a Joker card appearing in, like, some of the courtroom scenes, or you seeing Joker graffiti through the city after, like, it fell into anarchy. Something like that. Just, like, someone walking by a building and you see Joker graffiti down an alley or something.
We wouldn't have a problem with that, but do you understand what that would do to, like, anyone else who sees that and goes, oh, shit, they're going to show the Joker at some point. And it builds up. Your attention is towards something where it shouldn't be. And you start, when you're watching, you're like, well, what are they going to do with the Joker now? And now you're not paying attention to the story. All you're thinking about is the Joker. I'm saying the Joker's was such an enormous part of the second one that I think it would deter any attention you'd have to the story, critical story of the third one.
Do you think it's just Nolan saying he died?
I think that's probably. I think he's respecting Heath Ledger more than anything else. But I think that's a good thing he wasn't involved in the story because it would have just, like I said, it takes away your attention from what's really important.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. I can see that too, but just as a nerd, it would have been cool to see.
I would agree it would have been cool. But it would have been cool. More cool is like the second time you see it. I think the first time you see it, I would have been... Nothing else would have been on my mind other than how are they going to work the Joker into the story.
I don't get that at all. Like, I would never think that. I would never think that. If they just flashed it back and did, like he said, like a cool, like a...
In Rob's scenario, where there's graffiti on the wall, and there's like...
I would never think that.
I don't know. I just don't think it's necessary. I'll leave it at that. I don't think it was necessary to even do.
It's definitely not necessary, but it would have been a cool little plug. But we're kind of going off on a...
But that also brings it back to you.
Well, I'll give...
Oh, we already said Bane. We already had that discussion.
I'll give...
Are there any bad points during this movie? The Dark Knight Rises? We already kind of mentioned the lack of Batman, but...
Well, there's obviously the plot holes and things that everybody keeps bringing up and everybody mentions that's seen it, but I can get way past them because they're just so minute that there was not one time during the movie that I was sitting there watching it where I was like, what?
Yeah.
That never happened.
Well,
Ever.
People bring up the broken back, but they never really even mention that he broke his back.
Yeah, they don't say... He never broke his back. He just dislocated a disc.
Yeah, a slip
vertebrae.
disc or whatever. A vertebrae or whatever.
Like, he didn't say, like, oh, he broke his back. Like,
Batman has a broken back. He needs to rehab. No, it's just people are tying it in from the comics because Bane broke his back in the comics.
But fucking Jason Blake never existed in the comic. Like, it's different. It's completely...
Or John.
Whatever his name is.
Fucking literal people. But I don't get it because Eimer doesn't fucking know that Batman broke his back in the comics.
Yeah, they definitely portray it like Bane broke his back, but we don't know that still. You could still say, like, something else happened. I mean, it definitely did damage to his back.
They did say that. They're like, the doctor in the prison, or whatever. He's not a doctor, I guess, but whatever he is.
The vertebrae slipped.
He's like, your vertebrae's offline. Like, I'm going to put it, and he fucking puts it back. Like,
which could not, it doesn't have to be, I mean, that's a broken back. In fact, it might show that that isn't a broken back, exactly. But then they
could really be a good doctor, too. You just don't know that either.
That's a good point, bro.
I just don't... there's not one point in the movie where I was like, this isn't making sense, or this is stupid, or...
people talk about the hole. They get really mad about the hole, and how, so he takes out the rope now, he has a power. It's like, do you know anything about storytelling? Like, do you know anything about how that's kind of really cool, that he doesn't need the rope now? Now he fears death, and now it's kind of like... That's
what a movie is, like...
Story. It's like, it breaks it down to, like, the simplest way of telling a story. Like, you'd see that shit in, like, the Bible. Like, a simple...
Any movie in history, you can pick apart and say, well, why would that have been there? Why would this... It's a fucking movie for a reason. It's not real. This is a comic book movie. So it's less real. Why do you fucking pick these minute details to ruin your movie-going experience over something that has no significance to the story? It's just... I mean, it does, but it's not like that shit.
People complain about that, yet, like... Star Wars is perfect.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, ever seen... Dude, Return of the Jedi is not that good, by the way. After The Dark Knight, I bought the... after The Dark Knight Rises, I was like, this is a great trilogy. I want to see how it really matches up to what people say is the ultimate trilogy, which is, of course, the first movies of Star Wars. So I bought that Blu-ray set, and I brought it home, and within, I would say, a week, I watched all 3 Star Wars. And it just gave me... It solidified the opinion I already had, which A New Hope is a good movie. Empire is still to this day, it's fucking incredible. Empire Strikes Back.
So fucking good.
And Return of the Jedi, I look at it and to this day I go, wow, that could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't feel that way about any of these 3 movies. I think it's my favorite trilogy of all time.
More than Back to the Future?
Oh, fuck yeah, more than Back to the Future. Because Back to the Future is the same thing. First one's obviously the best. Probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, top 3. Second one is just fun, and it's great to watch. Third one has so many, like, fucking...
Plus, it's like it's a trilogy, but it's not like... They don't all really work together.
Yeah.
Like, they could all easily just be standalone movies.
This one's easily... I mean, to me, it doesn't even come close. It's so number one, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I think it is. I just thought you liked... I know how much you love Back to the Future, so I thought it would be at least close for you.
Here's the thing: if you take out maybe Die Hard 2, and you count, if you count 1, 3, and 4 as a trilogy, but even that's going to get screwed up. You can't even do that anymore. So, no, I think this is a clear cut number one. What did you guys think of? Obviously, the ending was a major concern going into it. We want to know how it was going to end. I already touched up on how it ended, kind of, but the happy ending that Bruce had, and also just the way Christopher Nolan did it, because I know there was some kind of a concern that he was going to put his little take in it, same way he did with Inception, of making it kind of ambiguous. And I'll be totally honest, in that last scene...
It is a little ambiguous.
When it is, still has a degree of that, and we can get into that. But in that last scene where Alfred looks over at Bruce, or at this point, you don't know when you're assuming he's looking at Bruce, and just smiles, and then the music kicks in, and I thought for sure the movie was going to end, and I'm like, don't fucking do it, Nolan. Don't have this great story and have this great ending, and then not give us a conclusive thing as to what Alfred is seeing. Dude, and then when they showed Christian Bale, I was like, that's great. And just having Catwoman win there was a bonus.
After I called you after I saw the movies, the first thing we both talked about was, dude, if we both thought that he was going to do it because of how he ended Inception. We both could have totally seen Nolan pulling that move. And we both immediately talked about how pissed off that would have made us.
Oh, God, I would have been furious.
That would have fucking sucked.
I would have been absolutely furious. And then they finally said, when I heard that lady utter the word Robin, I was like, oh, God, that's great. I'm so happy it's Robin and not just... If it would have ended with Joseph Gordon-Levitt running down a hallway wearing the bat suit like in Batman Forever or Batman... I would have been so fucking pissed. I'd be like, no, I don't want him to be Batman. Oh, that stinks. But that's where it is kind of ambiguous, because you don't know if he's going to take over as Robin, or if just Robin's his name, or if now he's going to be Batman. You don't know, and that's where it's up to your kind of interpretation, which is fine. I don't hate that much. I hate ambiguous endings, but that's not that ambiguous to where...
Because it doesn't really affect the grand
exactly.
storytelling of the trilogy.
It's not that important. It's weird how the next Batman or the next person defending Gotham isn't really that important after what they did with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And now he's hanging out in Florence, fucking Selena Kyle.
Good for him, though, right? He busted his ass for 3 movies.
About time he gets a vacay.
To hang out with fucking Selena Kyle, who's looking fine as hell.
Oh, my God. But, yeah, that was just... I think it really made this one of the best... movies for summer. We don't need to see the rest of these movies. It really burnt me out, that movie. I'll
say that as well.
That movie really burnt me out. I really don't
like every movie that's come out or is coming out. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you guys seem to have like no motivation to see Total Recall this week. You've had opportunities that no motivation.
I could have seen Total Recall on Tuesday.
Well, I saw The Watch afterwards, and I was pumped about that.
That was a perfect movie to see after The Dark Knight.
That was like, I don't want to see another. That's a total. I don't want to. It's probably good, and I'll still see it, but it's just like...
There's not that drive to go see it.
Yeah, I mean...
I'll see the campaign, I guess.
It's tough to match it after seeing that.
So you guys, where do you think they're going to go from here? I mean, we already talked about that, too. I guess
they're not.
Been touched. I don't think you'll. Do you have a prediction of when? I don't think it's gonna. I think we won't see another even hint at a Batman movie for another 15 years.
I would say 10 to 15.
I think we'll be in our 40s before we see another Batman movie, which is fucking crazy to think about.
That makes sense. I mean, that's like our parents, pretty much.
Yeah.
They were like in their...
Yeah, I mean, the first Batman movie came out when we were 1, and then we didn't see another one, or at least another, what I would qualify as the next real movie until we were 17, 18, so... Batman movies, I think we're going this kind of like 15-year cycle.
Batman Returns came out when we were 4.
Yes, that would be 3 years after 1989.
Right.
So now we're just doing math. It's a great podcast.
Well, I could also see. I'm gonna take a more conservative approach. I'm gonna say like 2020 they revisit it, just because like we discussed before, sheer business making, like it's so much money.
I also like again though. I just don't see anybody being like.
But this had a major effect.
I just don't see anybody saying right in the near future saying, "Yeah, I can do it better."
Yeah,
I just don't see anybody doing
it. It had a major effect on not just audiences, but I think filmmakers in general. I mean, it's really hard to see a comic book movie be so glorified by us, the layman's, by actors, by critics, and by, like we were talking about Kevin Smith throughout this podcast, by filmmakers. This is universally liked by almost everybody. So with that much pressure, it's really hard to see any studio. Well, it's not gonna, it'll be Warner Brothers, but to see any director take that on and try to bring Batman into a new type of vision. I think you have to go more. You have to go away. You have to get further away from. You can't get any more dark than what Nolan did.
Yeah, I also don't think that people respect it now. Like Mark just said, nobody's gonna Nobody wants to one up it. Like,
yeah, you got to take it.
Nobody's like, yeah, I'm gonna redo The Godfathers because they're already good. Like nobody, no director is has the balls to do that. So why would somebody be like, oh, Christopher Nolan did a perfect, pretty much an A+ job? Why? Like, just leave it at that. At least for a while.
Might even be longer than that, man. It might even be longer, which is fine because you get to These movies are so great at you can rewatch these movies.
I know, that's the other great thing. You're gonna have these 3 movies to watch at will for the rest of our lives, and it's gonna be our trilogy, man. It's our generation's trilogy.
It's a testament to how great Nolan was at making the story, having a vision from start to finish, and not wanting to settle on any story.
Right.
Or not wanting to just take any story and make a movie just to make a quick buck. It's a testament to how awesome Christian Bale is. He gets flack for his voice or little stupid minute things throughout the series, but he carried that character through 3 fucking movies, man, which is really tough to do.
Pet peeve of mine is people who complain about the Batman voice. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Come on.
And it's also, I mean, the casting in those movies was almost spot on and almost perfection, except for stupid Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
Maggie Gyllenhaal?
Oh, she stunk.
I hated her voice.
Oh, Harvey.
Her stupid face.
She's so much uglier than Katie Holmes. It's like, how do you possibly...
Was the Katie Holmes thing strictly Tom Cruise? Like,
I don't know.
Why else wouldn't you want to make guaranteed money, essentially? Like, there's no other explanation, I don't think. And now she's probably sitting there going, I could have been a major part of what some are saying, myself included, the greatest trilogy of all.
2 out of 3.
I could have been a major part of that, and I said a major part.
Yeah, I said she could have had 2 out of 3.
Okay. But, I don't know. Who knows? Let's talk about really where we stand with. We are talking about the movies that came out after The Dark Knight Rises. Maybe we could touch up upon them a little bit more. If we want to wrap up The Dark Knight Rises discussion.
Yeah, we're like right at like 45 minutes right now, so.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'll say this. I liked The Dark Knight the best out of the trilogy.
Oh yeah, we didn't get that. Yeah.
I thought that was like a 10 out of 10. I thought Heath Ledger's acting just took it to the next level. I agree with Phil. I think Bane was a more scary, unpredictable villain, but just Heath Ledger's role was a lot cooler to me. So I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10. Dark Knight Rises a 9.5 out of 10, and Batman Begins an 8.5 out of 10. Slightly below what you think of it, Mark. I rewatched it and I really love it still, but it's not close to Dark Knight, I don't think.
No.
I mean, do you think it's better than the Avengers? Batman Begins.
No.
So what would you give like the Avengers?
What would I give the Avengers? I think the Avengers was.
Again,
if you're working off expectations, I think the Avengers was 10 out of 10. It satisfied me more than
fucking
anything.
home run.
It was just like, it was a fucking home run. And I'm watching it. At no point are you not entertained, and it's a perfect thing. But it's a different movie than.
No, I know. I'm not saying compared to the same. I'm just wondering because I just want to get your gauge on Batman Begins more.
I think it's hard. I think it's a tough movie to get a gauge on because I remember leaving Batman Begins the first time, seeing it in the theaters, and leaving just being like, that was really cool. That was, I really liked that movie.
Really cool.
But I don't think you have a full appreciation of it. I remember leaving Dark Knight being, it was insane. And the same thing with Dark Knight Rises and Batman Begins. I don't think you realized the weight of what that was going to hold.
They were in the last two movies were in a different class. Batman Begins is
even the way they were marketed. I mean, even the way it was talked about, and
that's because they had something to build off of each time.
So you got to give Batman Begins credit for that because it really
set the tone.
Yeah,
and just how much money it made too is impressive compared to the last two. Compared to Batman Begins, Batman Begins didn't make nearly as much money as the other two.
I think a lot of that has to be. It's a Batman movie made within 10 years from Batman and Robin. I think the public soured on the Batman character, didn't really realize how significant that was, that you were getting a different take on Batman.
I can see that.
And then I think it was more. I think it got more of a. I think people watched it on DVD more and understood what it was.
Plus
and then got excited for the next movie coming out. And then
when did that come out? 2005.
2005. And then
it was also in the comic book movie boom.
Yeah,
like that was right when Spider-Man was in the middle. That was right
Spider-Man
where Iron Man was coming out. Like that was when comic book movie.
2008.
Which one?
Iron Man was 2008.
Yeah.
Was it really?
That was right after.
I thought that was
Batman
Iron Man
Begins
2.
was right after Spider-Man 2, and it was right after X-Men 2.
Yeah, which were fucking both awesome.
Yeah.
But so Dark Knight Rises is now the number 20 grossing movie of all time, at $370 million. Dark Knight is number 4 at $533 million.
It's the Avengers.
Avengers is number 2. Or number 3, I'm sorry, 617. But
Those are all domestic numbers.
These are domestic, yeah. Batman 1989, number 68th overall with $250 million. And Batman Begins is at $205 million, number 120 overall. So Batman 1989 made significantly more money than Batman Begins.
And that's not adjusted value either. That's
actual box office dollars, which is really impressive.
Yeah, because that means now that would be
probably up there with Dark Knight.
At least double or triple, yeah.
I think Batman Begins is always going to be cursed as the one movie that never got enough appreciation or never really got enough. No one looks at it as important as it should be. But like Phil said, it really set the tone for the following two.
And to transition, guess which movie made more box office money than Batman Begins did?
What,
Batman and Robin?
Ted.
Ugh.
So, that's a great segue.
Jill, what did you think of Ted?
I fucking hated it.
You did?
Thank God I didn't pay for it. I had a free movie ticket, and that's what I was going to say. Is I was going to see Batman Begins. I couldn't use it on Total Recall.
Ooh, you're really going to? You got to flex capacitor?
On Dark Knight Rises. I couldn't use it on Total Recall because it was the same week. It was the opening weekend.
Okay.
So literally, it was either Batman again. But it's 3 hours long. I just didn't have 3 hours, which is why I ultimately didn't see it. Brave, which I was like, yeah, probably not. And Ted. And that movie fucking stunk, dude.
What did you like about it?
There was nothing that I liked about it. I barely laughed. And I thought it was just cheesy, and the humor, it's just fucking that stupid I can't stand that stupid, sarcastic Family Guy humor. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I liked it like when it first came out when we were like 14 or 15 and then, or whatever we were, probably 16, 15 or 16, like that. Mark showed me like when Family Guy first came out, I remember Mark showed it to me. I was like, yeah, this is funny. But it didn't last for me. I don't like it. It's so fucking, it's so like, I just don't like it.
I saw Ted, and I
didn't laugh. I barely laughed, man. And I thought the story was stupid. It's just like cookie cutter story.
A story about a make believe bear coming to life.
No, the romantic part. Guy meets a girl, but his friends ruin the relationship. Then the friend gets the relationship back. It's just like.
What'd you think of?
But you always gotta keep in mind it's a stuffed bear, but also,
that's not the point.
I saw Ted, and I didn't hate it.
I hated it
as much as Phil. As I should say, hold on. As much as Phil, I still hated it.
I didn't hate it.
There was.
It broke my streak, which was another reason I was really pissed. I had a good streak on.
I did not like Ted for one real reason, and that was there's a scene in Ted. Spoiler alert. There's a scene in Ted where him and Mila Kunis.
He's even wearing a pilot outfit.
Well, it doesn't ruin the point. But okay.
Go ahead.
Nobody even knows about
nobody
this.
listens to this. Don't really care.
Nobody probably even realizes it's an airplane scene until you...
That's my whole point too.
So you want to finish it?
I guess I have to now. I'm just going to be redundant at this point.
It's an airplane scene. That's it. He doesn't even say which one it is.
The scene where Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis are talking about how they met for the first time. And Mila Kunis has a different take on the story than Mark Wahlberg. They tell Mila Kunis' story first, and it's like, oh, they met in the club, and he hit her on the head, and they fell in love. And then Mark Wahlberg's like, well, that's not how I remember it. And then they do the Family Guy thing where they play a scene from a movie that already exists as like an homage. But that works in a cartoon because you know for a fact it's coming from something.
Yeah.
Where they showed this scene where it's Mark Wahlberg playing the role of the guy from Airplane, and it's the disco scene.
Yeah.
And they do the, like, shot for shot, an homage, quote unquote, of Airplane in that scene. But never once do they mention it's a scene from Airplane.
Yeah.
She just goes, I don't think that's how that happened, honey, or some stupid shitty line. And if you're 18, you don't know that's from Airplane. You just think that's as silly as... So essentially, they just stole that fucking scene from Airplane, an already hilarious movie, and didn't give it... If you're going to do an homage, give it credit and tell the people what you're doing an homage to. That to me is lazy writing, and it's a fucking crime to see.
Mark has a good way to do it.
How would you suggest they credit it?
The easiest way possible. You could just say, honey, that's a scene from Airplane. And he goes, wow, what a coincidence then. Like, or some way that you can draw that back to Airplane or have it all come back to where it came from, and you can still get away from actually putting that in your movie. To me, that is that's almost a crime to do it that way, because any frat boy, fucking 18-year-old douchebag sees that and goes, oh my god, such a funny moment. That was so random. That was so random. What was that?
That's what it all is. The whole movie is like that. Like,
but
fucking
that's a scene from another funny movie. Louis C.K. has a great point about this. There's an interview he had about how comedians can be lazy. And he said one comedian he knew when he was coming up had a joke about the Jetsons where it was, some guy was like, isn't it funny how, whatever, John Jetson, what's the lead character? I don't know. The lead character of Jetsons. How isn't it funny how he goes to work and all he does is push a button all day and he's tired at the end of the day when all the robots do all the work anyways? And Louis C.K.'s like, yeah, that's funny because it was in the Jetsons. Like, you're making an observation about the joke in the Jetsons. Like, the Jetsons writers are going to hear that and go, shit, man, we are kind of making them lazy. Like, that's a good point by that comedian. Like, that's bringing a really funny scene from another movie and putting it into your movie and just stealing it.
That's a good point.
That's unethical, in my opinion. And that was like, it fucking soured me on the whole movie. The entire movie, they could say any joke they wanted. They could bring up any stupid Flash Gordon thing they wanted to, and I was still going, you fucking took that scene from Airplane. I was just so pissed about that.
The Flash Gordon thing was kind of funny, though.
Yeah,
no, it's not. How is that funny? Oh, we're going to pick the most random thing ever to be, like, the basis of the comedy, the friendship.
It's
like,
very Adam Sandler-y.
It's so cheesy, dude. It's just...
Adam Sandler's done that in how many movies? Where he picks one thing to keep on referencing throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And it's also something stupid that nobody would care about. Like, nobody cares about Flash Gordon. It's not funny.
I thought the guy was pretty funny.
I just hate Seth MacFarlane. I just think I think he's such a tool.
I think he's one of the most overrated
minds in comedy.
Yeah. Unlike you, Mark, me and Phil, I'll speak for Phil, I think. We didn't really get into Family Guy. You had a couple of years where you were real into Family Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I never really had that. So
I call those the dark years.
I got drunk once and watched the movie and thought it was funny. Mark was there. That was it, though. It was only because I was drunk.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think... I'm not going to buy Ted. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but by no means do I hate it.
Here's my problem with it is that, like, movies that have come out in the past 2 years that haven't... Comedies generally now are not doing well at the box office as much as they did in years past.
Yeah. How is this movie making fucking $200+
That's what I'm saying. Like...
Because every fucking douchebag goes and sees it. And every non-douchebag like us.
We can look at comedy, which, by the way, comedies that come out now are kind of mediocre from the start. They have weird premises. They're not that great. But in my opinion, Hall Pass should have made that much money. If we're judging this movie makes money, if you're basing it on how funny this movie should be,
Hall Pass kicked ass.
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah,
that movie's fucking great. I don't understand how those flop, but fucking Ted.
Dude, Wanderlust should have made more money than this. And Wanderlust wasn't that good, but
I didn't see Wanderlust yet.
I don't know. That's my opinion on Ted. I did not. It was one critical moment that made me hate the whole movie.
Yeah, no, that's an understandable gripe. I mean, I'd probably give it like a 7, 6.5, or 7 out of 10. 6.5. What about you guys?
7?
6.5 or 7. What about you guys?
I'd give it a fucking 0.
Zero?
Yeah, they should have not made it.
It's the worst movie possible. It's a 0.
It's a 2. I'll give it a 2.
Out of 10, I would give it...
for making it.
Out of 10, I would give it a 4. I put it on, like... I don't know what comedic scale I would put it on. I'd probably put it on...
I'm trying to think of a shitty comedy that I would rather watch than this. I'd rather watch Don't Mess with the Zohan than this. And that's fucking awful.
Wow.
That is like the...
See, that's where we're in disagreement.
I have no interest in ever seeing this movie again. Let's just say that.
All right, fair enough. I mean, we disagree on...
You want to talk about another movie I have no interest in ever seeing again?
What is that?
Fucking... I love Mark Wahlberg, but another movie...
Oh, another segue.
That I have...
Hang on. We got set this up. Last podcast, we talked about The Fighter, because we were talking about Louis C.K.'s new show, Louis, and how he had Melissa Leo in one episode. Then that got into The Fighter, and we're talking about how me and Rob both like The Fighter because it's a good movie, but Phil didn't like The Fighter because he hasn't seen it, but he knows he wouldn't because it's a boxing movie, and Phil has this weird angst towards boxing movies and Boston movies.
And Boston and boxing.
No, I'd take it a little bit back on the Boston movies just because
we just talked about
I really
10.
like Good Will Hunting. That's another one that I don't like. I just like Good Will Hunting, and I like The Departed. But
see, The Departed's one where I hate Boston.
The Town? Did you see that?
No.
I think I only saw the last the last 30 minutes of Town, and I know for a fact I would like The Town more than The Departed.
But here's the thing.
The Departed is probably the most overrated movie of the past decade.
The Departed's really good.
Not in my opinion.
But let's go back to The Fighter. Anyways, Phil, so you watched it on Netflix the other day.
Yeah, like 3 days ago.
I mean, it was really, really well received.
That's fine. I didn't like it.
What didn't you like about it?
Everything.
You didn't like the characters in it?
The only character...
funny they were,
there was a couple characters I liked. I liked his dad.
Oh, his dad fucking ruled.
Oh, it's great. The cop.
That guy was
Christian
cool.
Bale, and that is great.
Nikki Eklund?
I liked his girlfriend, Charlene.
And what about his sisters? How fucking hateable they are.
Oh, I couldn't listen to it. I almost turned it off because when they started talking. I almost muted it.
Dude, they keep on calling her MTV girl. And
no, they're stupid accents.
Dude, they are so hateable. And so is Melissa Leo in that. She is hateable. You just want to
fucking hateable, exactly. Which is why I
want to
hated
slap
it.
them all. But doesn't that show you how great?
I don't care if that's what they're supposed to be. I don't like boxing movies. It's the same typical boxing movie. Underdog. Oh, I'm gonna win. It's the same shit over and over.
You can say that's formulaic at that point.
The only thing I'd
say that about comedy. Oh, I'm going to make you laugh. Oh,
no, boxing movies
it's
are
a
just
formula.
all the fucking
Say
same.
about every fucking superhero movie, then.
Oh, bad guys can lose. Good guys can win.
You cannot. No, you cannot. We just talked about Batman. How Batman's different than every other one. No. The fighter fucking. It's the same.
Fighter's not all about the boxing.
Beats the odds.
Okay, you're a big
cheesy montage where he comes back.
You're a big Mighty Ducks fan.
Mighty Ducks is a joke. This is supposed to be like the fucking epic boxing movie since Rocky, and it's fucking the same shit. I didn't like it. I don't. I also just thought it was weird though because I just saw Batman, and then where Christian Bale's like peak physicality, and then you see this where he's just like he must have lost like 80 pounds to do this movie.
You don't have any respect for that. You know what I mean? Like
how? I like that Rudy's dad was in the very beginning for about 2 seconds. That's about it.
I can't believe that you don't. I can't believe.
Huh?
Was that the haircutting place?
Yeah, exactly. No, right before the haircutting place, like on the sidewalk.
Through town, right?
Yeah.
Dude, the thing that kills me more than anything in the movie is the acting. It's such a. I mean, the acting in that is great. You can talk about the story being same as every box movie, but dude, in my opinion, the actors steal the show in that. Christian Bale is amazing.
If you love acting so much, why don't you watch like shitty fucking?
But that's one of the
Academy Award winning.
No, but I'm saying this is one of the few movies where I can look at that and totally get behind that. Like,
all about the stories. I didn't like the story. I don't like boxing stories. They're all fucking. I don't like them, and I watched it, and I just didn't like it. I don't know. You guys can't convince me on this one. It's not going to happen.
Convince me. I think it's more Christian Bale's movie than.
Dickie Eckler's.
All right.
It's fucking.
Not
great.
saying his performance wasn't good. He plays a great crack addict, but
he's so fucking great in that.
I don't.
All right, say Phil. Before we move on to something else,
it made me uncomfortable.
Yes, that's how great it was.
Name your three biggest grievances with the movie, and then we can move on.
The cookie cutter boxing story, the accents, I couldn't handle it. I literally could not handle him. And just the overall feeling it gave me. I just didn't like it.
What?
I don't like uncomfortable movies.
What made you uncomfortable?
The whole thing.
Rob, what was your favorite three parts about the movie?
I like the uncomfortableness. I love the Boston accent.
I love boxing.
And I love boxing movies.
Those are two things that don't stand out.
Yeah, they don't even faze me. They could be about. This movie could have been about like football, or it could have been about fucking stand-up comedy, and I would have been like, oh. Okay.
I just also really
boxing is just a vehicle for these characters to.
Aside from like Rudy and Miracle, cheesy fucking sports movies don't do it for me. That's another thing. I just don't like.
They're few and far between.
I don't like cheesy sports movies with the exceptions of Miracle and Rudy, and that's it.
I would say they're few and far between. But I don't even qualify this as a sports movie. So I don't even see it that way. I don't, man.
It's pretty heavy
really don't.
boxing related. There's a lot of boxing scenes.
I don't want to sound and it's an over analysis, but I see this movie is more about it's more about family and relationships with family than anything else.
I thought it fucking sucked.
I don't know. And Amy Adams is so fucking hot.
Though.
Holy shit.
One scene where she's like in her lingerie.
Yeah, and the see-through bra.
Ooh,
that alone, Amy Adams.
Oh, dude, how about the bartending scene when she's got those fucking booty shorts on? Ringing the bell? Shitty tippa.
Fucking piece of shit. Piece of shit. Come in here all the time. And also that fucking... when Christian Bale walks in and does the behind the cop and does detective on the scene.
Dude, how do you not like the Christian Bale character in that? That alone should be enough to.
Yeah, he saves the movie more than anything. Jumping out of the window, go back to the fucking house. I'll meet you at the house.
In the movie, they could have replaced him with somebody else, and he still would have been awesome.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know what to say.
All right, so Phil hated the fighter. Big shocker there.
What?
What would you give the fighter out of 10?
I don't know, 4 or 5.
Mark?
I thought fighters. I think 8 out of 10 easily.
Yeah, I'd give it like 8.5 out of 10.
Let's talk about movies we liked. How about that? Sick of talking about all these movies I didn't like. The Watch.
The Watch.
The Watch ruled.
This Watch. The Watch was great. Obviously, we went into it knowing it was what Phil said, quote, typecast central. Like, it was totally.
It was awesome.
And at no point did you care. At no point did it, like, really bother me.
It's been a long time since you just walk in
To a mindless...
with no expectations for a movie and just enjoy silliness.
Yeah.
And who cares?
Yeah, it really has been a
cares?
summer of just having you can't help it but having a pre-existing opinion going into a movie because you're like, oh, this movie's going to be great because of this, or I'm really excited to see this movie because of this. This is a movie we were excited about, but in no way were we expecting this to be that.
There's also a movie that didn't hit our radar until the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
So, it's not like
because they had that whole marketing disaster where they had to change the title because Hollywood's a bunch of sensitive pussies. That really deterred the movie making it to the mainstream until much later.
Yeah.
But I really liked, I like The Watch a lot. I would definitely suggest anybody see it.
Did you... The movie I want to compare it to, the last one I felt similar to walking in was 21 Jump Street. I felt like...
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I compared... Yesterday I made a comparison to just the style of the movie was Hot Fuzz.
Okay.
Just because it's got a good mix of... It's still got some, like, action scenes. 21 Jump Street's the same way, though.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we're ever going to see a PG-13 comedy again? Like, come out? Think about this. I was thinking about this for a while.
Like, what do you mean?
Think
like
about the last 2 or 3... No, I mean, like, the last 2 or 3 years. Has there been a real... Like a movie that hasn't been rated R comedy-wise that's come out that you've actually, like, gone and seen and liked? I can't think of one that's come out. Maybe Grown Ups was PG-13, and I hated that. But I think this is, like, the new trend of, like, if you're making a comedy in Hollywood, you have to make it R, which I think is a great thing. I think that's
even movies
perfect.
like Our Idiot Brother and Wanderlust, those are rated R, too.
Yeah.
Wait, was The Watch rated R?
Yeah.
For what?
For all the F words and saying come and...
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about comments
Minor details. And also, fucking... I mean, everything. Think about every comedy you've seen in the past 2 years.
21 Jump Street's rated
21
R?
Jump Street, yeah. Rated R. Bunch of finger popping each other's assholes.
The
I don't
Sitter?
think would have sat.
The Sitter was...
Sitters are.
Sitter
Was
was
it
R.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the
I don't know why.
coke.
That movie kind of fucking sucked.
I forgot what constitutes rated
Bill
R.
should be a part of the MPAA.
I strictly think that, like,
Really?
nudity
The
is
Watch
all
rated
that they
R?
base it off of. But there's
The
no...
Watch said fuck like 300 times.
Yeah.
They were talking about cum for about a minute straight.
Even the violence in The Watch wouldn't have fun. Like,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, there's definitely, like, blood and guts in The Watch.
there's a heart coming out of someone's body. Like,
Yeah. It was
but
pretty violent.
Hall Pass, Horrible Bosses, The Change Up, all these comedies
Yeah.
that have come out the past 2 years.
The Change-Up's a good one to bring up because that's a movie that they could have very easily just made a shitty PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
But instead they made it a very okay, passable, rated R movie.
Yes.
I kinda like it.
And really passable with seeing Leslie Mann's tits,
And the other girl, dude. Was
which
fucking-
was awesome. You didn't see her tits in it, I don't think.
No, you didn't see her tits, but you saw some side boob on, what's her name?
Leslie Mann's tits were awesome. That made summer of 2011 for me. I was like, yeah.
Judd Apatow is a pretty lucky guy.
Yeah. But Watch was great. I mean, I don't think, story-wise, there's really nothing to deconstruct. We're not going to spend that much time on it.
See it? I'd give that like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't even...
I'm rating that as the third best movie I've seen all summer.
I'm definitely buying to watch when that comes out on Blu-ray. That movie it's going to be a good rewatchable. There are a lot of good quotes that I know I missed that will be good.
I liked Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and Spider-Man, but...
As soon as I find out what's coming on DVD, I'm setting my watch.
Oh, my...
But what else have we... what do we want to get over or go over as well here? I forgot.
We're getting pretty...
There's one other thing, I think.
High up in time, but... Not much. I mean, the
movies that are coming out.
Total Recall is...
Rob saw
out right
Total
now.
Recall. We can't talk about it, but we got a good stretch here. We got Total Recall,
Campaign,
which we talked about in the first podcast, and also
Campaign the Bourne Legacy came out today, too.
And Bourne Legacy and also The Expendables 2 will be out next week.
And Wreck-It Ralph comes out soon. And
in November.
In Expendables 2, I'm going to go alone.
Loopers comes out too soon.
Expendables 2 is going to be a movie where I go by myself, like after work, just get a lot of
just fucking
sit there and
not care about anything. Just focus your attention on seeing Arnie in a movie again. I can't believe I'm not as excited. I'm not as excited as I should be for the Expendables 2. We're going to get to see Arnie in a movie for the first time, really in a movie. For the first time in a while.
Have you guys seen more trailers for Loopers?
For Looper? Yeah, by the way, Justin Gordon-Levitt has 2 movies coming out in, the next month.
Yeah, one of them just looks...
One's, riding a bike messenger.
Premium Rush.
Is there anything you can think of that sounds less masculine and less like it should be the center of an action movie than I'm a bike messenger? Really? That's what we're doing now?
Yeah, stupid. But anyway, if you look at...
Looper looks really cool.
Watch that. I think they're doing something, because it doesn't look like... They're
doing something to his face.
They're enhancing his face to look more like Bruce Willis. Yeah. It's really weird.
And it freaks me out every time I see it.
Yeah, because you're like, this is not Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Who is this guy?
What the fuck are they
doing? They did a feature on that. I think it was before, right around the Fathom Events things. They did a little Looper.
Really?
It doesn't look good, though. It's awkward. Weird, right? It's awkward from the minute you see it.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I think that movie looks really cool.
It looks really cool. I think it's a cool concept, but it doesn't... They shouldn't have done that. We can suspend disbelief enough to realize that these guys, this isn't actually him. How about that? We don't need to... if you're going to do that, just do a computer-animated version of a younger Bruce Willis. Just make Bruce Willis be Bruce Willis.
Yeah, really.
We got them coming up.
It's so unnecessary.
Summer up, then...
Gangsterland, I think, is it Gangsterland, I think is what it's called?
Squad.
Gangster Squad. That movie looks really good, too.
I think that's a December release.
I thought it was fall. Early fall.
Early fall?
I think so. I would check that out.
There's another movie coming out with Shia LaBeouf.
Lawless?
Yeah,
Lawless.
And Bane.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy's in that.
So I'm probably going to see that just because Tom Hardy's really cool.
Yeah.
Gangster Squad, did you hear they reshot the entire ending of that movie?
Because of the theater scene?
Yeah. And actually, the release got pushed to January 11th.
Wait, what did they have to...
There's that scene where they walk through the theater shooting everybody.
The movie ended with them shooting through the
really? Man, that was a cool-looking scene.
Right? I was fucking pissed about that. I don't want to sound desensitive, but that's the kind of stuff that they shouldn't do.
Aren't you playing into the guy's hands more than anything else when you do that shit?
Not this guy. This guy's just crazy.
I know this guy's just crazy, but can't we all as a country realize that things can be separate from each other? They don't need to remind people.
Movies. Between that and between the Neighborhood Watch being renamed because of the Trayvon Martin thing.
Yeah.
Such bullshit. Not that it takes away from the movie, but this Gangster Squad thing is going to take away from the movie.
Exactly. It's probably a crucial scene. And now we have to... What are they going to do? Put it in... they just computer generated. Now it's in a deli. They're just
shoot him in a park, and then there's going to be a shooting in a park.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just hanging out. I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Any movies you've seen lately or anything else you want to talk about? I just want to bring up one other thing real quick.
I'm just going to say, before you guys go see Total Recall, watch the old one before, because it makes you appreciate the old one a lot more, and B, makes you remember things.
The old one's great.
Never seen the old one, so I should definitely do that. Mark?
So, I recommend that.
Anything that No, I'm just excited to see... I know that we talked about it. We're not as excited. We think it looks like it's going to suck now. I really want to see the campaign, and
I kind of turned back on it too because I saw his Seth Galifianakis is going to be fucking hilarious.
I'm excited to see the campaign.
Having him play Seth is going to be great.
I'll probably try to see that. Actually, if you want to go see that, maybe Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm off all Sunday, so
I wouldn't mind doing that.
So maybe we could do that. Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
I just want to. I watched Inglourious Bastards the other day for the first time. That movie rules. Mm-hmm.
You didn't see it in theaters?
No, I did. I only saw it. That's the only time I've ever seen it was in theaters. Yeah. And I just saw it again.
Might be a great opportunity to post that on the blog.
That movie rules. It's really good. I liked it a lot. Anyway,
The blog new title.
you want to talk about one of the best villains ever? That guy.
Christopher, what's his name?
Begins with an L. Forgot it.
He's going to be the most.
John
He's going to be the Tarantino one's coming out in December.
Django Unchained.
I heard they're taking away from that because there's guns in that movie, and that would be insensitive to the victims of the Colorado shooting. So I heard they're taking away the guns in that.
Where do you draw the fucking line?
It's like that South Park thing.
Thanks for tuning in.
Holding out walkie-talkies. It's like the South Park thing.
Let's say this for the next PC. Phil, you just watched *Inglourious Bastards*. Mark and I will watch it. Maybe Mark and I will rewatch it, and maybe we could do a blog post here and there about some things that we liked after rewatching.
Tell you, man.
Or how about we pick a different movie?
We're just doing the blog. We need to start writing things on the blog, so we're going to start entitling it second time around or some shit, where you see a movie for the second time, or see a movie the first time in a while.
Do you want to pick something else, Phil, or do you want to just roll?
I think we should do something else that all three of us should rewatch.
All right, we can talk about that at a later date, so we don't want to hold up the listeners. But,
hold up ourselves in the future.
Keep an eye on the blog at filmcritics.wordpress.com. It's PHILM Critics.
Also, if you're a fan of classic movies, we're trying to get an additional writer on there by the name of Elmer
Schmeimer.
And he's going to do some AMC reviews.
Yeah, so if you guys
keep an eye out for that.
Classical movies, might as well check out the blog.
And Eimer, if you're listening, do it. All right. That's going to wrap it up for us, though. See Batman. See it again. And we will be back in hopefully a couple weeks, and we'll have some more stuff to talk about. Thanks again.